generally fit themselves. I mean, let's face it, ultra running is the only race where you can say, well, yeah, I'm just going to walk half. You know, you speak to, unless you're talking to the Kilimanjaro, me, because he doesn't really do the 100 miles, he's 15 miles sort of down there. You speak to this, Ian Keys and all that. They walk and jump a fair amount of the distance they walk.
And have you figured out before you start the race which bits you're going to walk, which bits you're going to run? How much planning goes into the actual, your what you would call your race plan in our parlance, I guess?
I don't have a plan as such. What I do is I call it aspirations and goals. The goal is always to finish, especially in a race I've never done before. It's always to finish. My aspiration, I'll give myself a time. So in my head, I'll go, right, it's X amount of distance. I don't really look at the heights and the traffic, X amount of distance. I've done this, it's a similar, and I sort of gauge. So, I try and give myself. I'm not stupid in my aspirations. I don't give myself a time that is just ludicrous. I give it some thought. I think, like I was hoping for driving back, I thought sub 50 hours would be possible. It hasn't been in 53. But, that's what but my goal was always to finish.
Yeah.
But, I was only 3 hours out of my aspirations, and that's having 3 very bad days. But that's how I do it. I have aspirations and goals. Goals always to finish, but then I'll always give myself a time that I think is doable. And then that's what I try and aim for. And then, so when I'm running, I'm not necessarily counting the hours, but I'm just trying to I have a pace that I think I should maintain, whether it be 100 miles. I like to think really what I want to try and aim for, no matter what the terrain's doing, try and aim at 5 miles an hour. I sort of work that way. But it's not like a road. That's the difference with road stuff. You can't give yourself a pace per mile, because the terrain dictates what you're doing, with you running, walking, or whatever. So the best way to try and break it down into possibly hour segments, where you hope to be at certain points in the day.
And do you think your military background gave you that sort of mentality and ability to do that, or is that something you've sort of taught yourself as you've been going through your running career?
I definitely think my background has inadvertently the military has trained me to do what I really love doing. It's a byproduct of it. But that's not just the military training, that's because of my military career and what I've done in the military before I did this. So I've done courses where I've been mentally tested. I've thrashed myself. One of the points people always laugh at me when I race is I set off so quick, and they always go, you should set off quick, you should pace yourself more. And I don't disagree with them, I think they're right. But it's very hard for me. I've spent 20 years in the military doing whatever PT sessions are done, and their thought process was always, you thrash yourself to the forward. So when they say go, you go, and you work as hard as you possibly can, no matter what. You don't think about pacing, you just, that's what you're expected to do. So 20 years of doing that, it's very hard to switch off. But what I know I can do is I can work hard for a mile, or 2 miles, and it gives me what I call breathing space. Because when we set off these races, so many people set off fast, and one of the reasons why I love my sport so much is I spend a lot of time on my own. It's not that I'm unsociable. When I'm racing, I'm very much in my own little world, and that's what works for me. I don't really want to have, small talk with people, and you find a lot of people who do the races, they want that, they want the company. I actually don't want the company. I want to be on my own. I want to just be totally involved in that race bubble. Just do what I'm going to do. The only time I've done the DNF, which is on my own, was because I wasn't in the race bubble. When I set off, I was thinking of all sorts of things that I never think about when I'm racing. I'm always thinking about navigation, route, pacing, whatever. I'm always thinking about the actual thing of running, or what I'm going to eat, or how do I need fluid, do I need food. But when I DNF, I was thinking of just normal stuff, not so much what's on the TV, but things like that. And I DNF because of it, because it just wasn't, my head wasn't in it.
And when we're talking about getting prepared sort of mentally, but there's also prepared in terms of the equipment, in terms of what you were saying about navigation? How do you make sure that you've got absolutely everything that you need for the race? And
navigation is simple, so you just need a map and compass, really. And obviously the skill to use it. There's no point carrying a map and compass if you can't use it. It's just, it's like, I've never operated a chainsaw, but I'm going to carry one with me. It's just a pointless episode, isn't it? But you shouldn't go out and enter these races if you can't map it. It's just stupidity, really, because whatever happens on the ground here, it's tenfold up when you're high. You could be in the nicest conditions, you go up high, weather could be doing all sorts. It has its own weather system, doesn't it? So you need to be able to navigate, because once a cloud comes in, it's alright having a trace and all that, but that trace, that hasn't got any map on it, it'll take you over a blind edge. That trace could take you 10 metres that way, could be a cracked drop. If you haven't got a map to be able to see that and know where you are, then you're asking for trouble, I think. But yeah, so the navigation, that's all pre-preparation, isn't it? If you can't map these, you get yourself in courses where people teach you. You just go out on the ground with a map and go, right, okay, orientate with the compass and go, let's go for that, and then sort of work out. And just I always think self-taught is very good because you tend not to forget it, but people teach you. You might not skim over things really quickly what you've understood, and you might not step off the question. So, I think it's a bit of both. So that on that side, then you need to get out on the ground. Everything else, kit-wise, we're all different, and it's like trainers. We always get asked the questions like, what socks do you use, or what trains? All our foot shapes are differently. My feet, through years of being in the military, I don't get blisters. I get blisters very rarely. So I don't have any foot discipline, other than the fact that once I finish a race, I air my feet. Let air get to them, let them dry out, ready for the next day. That is my only sort of thing that I would do with the feet. I know loads of people who talc them up and, will walk around with plastic bags. I don't know. There's some strange, they'll put Vaseline on them, they go through all sorts of weird and wonderful things like that. In their head it works. So it works. But we're all personal like that, and just find.
And what about the sort of nutritional science aspects to running, Paul? What are your recommendations on how do you get around a 268-mile race?
I think depending on your conditioning and where you are, where you're at in whatever you do. If you're just starting, I went through a stage, and I did 2 years in a trot where I managed to run at least a marathon distance race every month for nearly 2 years. Because of that, most of my mileage I got was through racing. So I got to the point where nutritionally I could cover 50 miles. I could cope with whatever was on site. But I knew once I go over 50 miles, then I have to really pay attention to what I'm eating and making sure what works right. The problem I have, and this is like nutrition again as a personal thing, is when I'm racing, I lose my appetite. And as a lot of people know, most people lose appetite because the blood moves away from the stomach, so it's not digesting food properly because it's moving to where you're working. So, a lot of people struggle nutritionally to what to eat. What I find works for me is things that are moist, very sloppy, like I don't like rice pudding, but when I'm racing, I will eat rice pudding all day long. And I don't even like it, but I know it will go down and it will give me what I need to give me something that my body can work on. Sort of thing. What I normally go to, and yet again, this all depends on what the race is and what support you get from the race. If you're allowed support, then if I can, I try and get either Lucy, my girlfriend, to sort of meet me every 20 miles, and I'll get a mountain fuel shake. And it's milk with whatever, and with a morning fuel. And every 20 odd miles, I find if I can have that, I don't need anything else. I don't need really. And that'll quite happily see me through every 20 miles for as long as I need to go. On the spine race, to be honest, that's what got me through. Other than that, she made me some scrambled eggs and beans, which I'm managing and on. Things like that, something that's really moist, that doesn't just go in your mouth and dry out. Because you're working so hard, so obviously you're dehydrated or whatever else, that's a problem you have. You try and have some even soup, with veg in it. The soup goes down, but the veg just seems to feel like cardboard in your mouth and won't swallow. It just sits there. You can't, as much as it just clags your mouth up. So even if you have, and I like charge bars and the other type of, you just go clang in your mouth and just stick to your roof in your mouth and you can't get them down your throat. Gels, obviously, they're there. You just stay clear of gels in general because they're not designed for what ultra is about, which is sustainability. Gels only lasted for 20 years. That's all they were designed. It's a great marketing ploy what gels did. They were designed.
Bearing in mind you are sponsored by a...
No, but this is what I'll get to now to feel is, they're not the same as gels. The way they break down in your stomach is a bit more sustainable. It does break down slower. It's not designed, you're not on a sugar train either. You're not just taking sugar and there's complex carbohydrates and stuff involved there. So the designs slowly release a little bit, not as, so not to be as fast as Chelsea, you don't have to take into that, and you're not on the sugar train. Sugar trains, we all know. You can't run it for 24 hours, you're just going to crash. And then not only you can have that affection everywhere. And you find it hard to put one foot in front of the other, which is always the goal, is that forward movement. However you move it, whether you be shuffling, crawling, it doesn't matter, you're moving to the next part of your next.
And how do you, in terms of sleep, because on these 5 and 6 and 7 day races that you're doing, obviously you do need a certain amount of sleep. So how many hours of sleep are you getting in it? And do you have to get somebody to give you a kick in 3 hours time?
No.
Get you back out there again?
I think it's very nice, depending on how many people have done sort of 100-mile cross races, you will never, no matter how you could have been awake for 48 hours, when you go to sleep, you'll only sleep for half an hour and you'll wake up and you'll want to move because your joints are so painful that it doesn't matter where you lie, you cannot get comfortable. Everywhere hurts. Even just lying on the muscle, it just hurts. So even when you're so tired and you think you might not be able to have 3 hours sleep, you can't get comfortable. So you're only going to get half an hour breaks. But lucky to get again through the military and all the exercise I did where, when I was 18, we went on exercise and if I got 3 hours sleep in 6 days of building bridges and doing whatever, that's all I got. So inadvertently, my body has got used to sleep deprivation and got used to working without sleep. And I actually look at the sleepless side as being one of my strong points in the racing I do because I know I don't concern myself too much about sleep. I know I need sleep, but I'm not. So I only need half an hour. I did the Hard 200. I think it was a 200-mile race, and I did it in 48 hours. And in that 48 hours, I had 30 minutes sleep, and that's all I had. And even when I finished, I didn't want to go straight to sleep. I was awake. I stayed awake for about another 4 hours, 5 hours, chatting to people and clapping people and finished. And I was quite happy to do that, and I just had that for the 30 minutes sleep.
And that stiffness that you were talking about, I know once you move in 20 minutes in or whatever, it will somewhat free up. But when you finish the race, you're not a professional athlete and nothing else. You've got to finish a race on a Sunday and be back at work on a Monday. How do you manage to keep the joints working?
It's like we all do the same. I don't think any race, if you haven't trained for it, your body's not conditioned, then the next day is going to hurt. But I really think it's bad for you to just lie on the couch and do nothing. Beauty for me is I've got my dogs. Dogs always need walking. I have no choice over that. They don't care that I've thrashed myself to the phone for 5 days. They don't care. And I actually find that it's helpful. The fact that I've got off and I've walked. I remember the very first ultra I did in 2011, and I lived in looking for this Cambridge, so it's flat. But I had to go over skies. I couldn't climb over skies. I had to do belly rolls up to the skies because I couldn't lift my legs over. And I just I'm flop on the grass on the other side. But the fact that I got out and walked the dogs for 4 miles or something, I actually, by the time I got back in, it aided my recovery. And it kept just got me moving. I I think it's like tapering, isn't it? You know, and all that people going about tapering, and I do it for road running and for doing that. I definitely believe it. If you're want to do multi-day racing, or you want to do ultras, which obviously go for 20, or whatever, you can run, it took me 110 hours to do the spine, so that was me running constantly from the Sunday to the Thursday. Tapering doesn't necessarily work so much I don't really like the term ultra run, but for long distance running, I don't necessarily think tapering is what you need to do, because you're used to running a lot anyway. You just need to be a bit more gentle about what you're doing, just keep moving. And I think when you finish as well, I think active recovery is better than doing nothing. I think that sitting down and doing nothing, I actually don't think, personally, it's good. You just stiffen up more, and I do. So the more you have to move fast, just move it. Walking is as good as well as anything. Yeah. So I think just moving and walking is as good as anything. It hurts. I'm not going to die, but it's great that I've got a reason to do that, which is my dogs. To get shot.
Very good. And just moving on to the races themselves a little bit. How far ahead are you planning in terms of what your next big event is and what you're entering? Because a lot of these races, although they seem incredibly difficult to do, are also quite difficult to get in some instances, aren't they? And they're not cheap.
No, that's the problem. The expense is always a problem. I went for a stage where I didn't even check dates. I just want to do that, pay money, Or sometimes I was very lucky to get free races. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh crap, I did it last year. I had an 80-mile race on the Saturday, and the following Saturday I had the GV Goat, which was a 55-mile race. I had the places, and I just went, right, I'll just do it and see how it goes. I wouldn't say it's not my cleverest of moves, but I did it, and I'm always happy that I managed to complete races. But I think this year, particularly this year, I have been a bit more clever and so I've got set races, bar one race which I didn't know I was doing until, and it's a problem with some races you don't know if you're going to get in, so you plan other races on top to try and cover. I think most people have heard of the UTMB in Chamonix in August. A lot of people would have heard. So basically there is a big mountain running festival in Chamonix at the back end of August. And one of the big races is the UTMB, which is the ultra-terrain mountain bike. And it's the one everybody wants to get into. But in that, it's a running festival for a week, and it's a series of races starting on Monday. And the race I actually got into is called the PTL, which is, I'm not French, so it's Petit something Lyon, I don't know. It's a Tres Lyon something. But it's a 300k race with 28,000 metres of ascent. It starts on a Monday. And it finishes on the Sunday at the end of the festival. It's not really classed as a race, they want to class it as an adventure. And you have to either do it in pairs or trips. But I don't know, when you put in, because the stipulations are so great and the experience they want out of you to say, so they know you're safe, I didn't know whether I'd get in or not. So I only booked another race in September, which was easy to get into. But I've got into the PTL, so the next big race is...
So you've got to pair up for that one, haven't
you? I have. This bloke stupidly asked me if I don't run, and he may regret it, I think he will. But we'll see. So I've got that, but then 3 weeks later I've got a 190-mile race, full length of Wales.
That's a bit like another Dragon's Back race then.
It is, it's off the Sky race, it's the full length of Wales.
And what's on the bucket list?
There's so many races on the bucket. I think the really big one for me is the Tour de Ghent.
Tour de Ghent.
It's basically UTMB style, but better and it's longer. It starts in Italy, you go around it in Switzerland. It's not that expensive, it's just very hard to get into. And yet again, they want certain levels of experience and races you can perform. So the PTO is complete, would definitely take that box. But there's loads of races out. There's loads of little races. I did one in Kirby Stevens, only cost me 20 quid. It was a great little race, only 20 odd miles, but it was a beautiful race.
You could run around Bramham for 24 hours this weekend if you fancy a little jog.
No. I've been telling a lot of people I've already planned on doing an unsupported solo beat Bob Graham tomorrow. so I'll start out tomorrow night.
Well, the records seem to be falling every weekend.
It's not like that, because the solo round is not ratified, so it's a personal thing, but it all falls into training with ETM.
And how do you go from doing 100 miles in the wilds where you've not got anybody to see for miles to London Marathon, rammed in a pen for an hour beforehand, and then you're hitting the road with 30,000 other people?
I don't know what it is about London Marathon. I just really enjoy the weekend. I do Athens Marathon as well, so again, I love that weekend as well. Part of it is because my girlfriend's family are out there, so we get to see them, so I get to have a drink and run. It's like it sort of works for us, so we get to see family, have a drink, and I get to run, so that appeases all my demons. London Marathon is it's a good race. I must admit, I enjoy doing it, but when I'm running it and just getting screamed at for X amount of miles, when you go underneath that underpass, it's quite nice. It's some quiet underneath that underpass, and going around the back end of Canary Wharf where it's quiet for sort of 4 or 5 miles. It is quite nice, and it's quite enjoyable. But yeah, I like London Marathon. You just get sucked along with it. It's just a good weekend. It's only time where London's friendly, isn't it? Let's be honest, when you finish on Sunday. It's only time two strangers will walk up to you and go,
that's true.
It's the
They're all from the north.
Well, no, we meet a friend out there who lives in London, and even she says, I hate travelling around London, marathon weekends, but this is the only time. She even said, sometimes London's friendly, where everybody wants to speak to you, no matter which pub you go to, and you've got your finished t-shirt.
So after saying that we all need to be good map readers, which I'm sure quite a lot of us aren't, what if you were wanting to dip your toes into not so much ultras, but maybe the fells, the trails, what kind of level would you recommend?
Oh, it's the
For a
short
beginner.
one. For a beginner, the ones out and backs, because they're very simple, aren't they? So, because, depending on how fast you are, there's always going to be somebody in front of you. There's always going to be, as you're going back, you're going to come back the way you're going to come. So, and the out backs are very short, so they're always a good starter. But if you are going to go out, I always think, especially on them, go out and go out, if you get out the week before, go out, just go out and wreck in the room. Just go out and just walk it. Slow time, just take in, markers. The problem is, like everything, even some of the best some of the best fell runners are not the greatest navigators. And it's been proven time and time again. And the reason they do so well is because they've gone over the route. They know, they do know the route like the backhand. So when the cloud comes down, they know it by, I remember that rock, or there's a bent over tree there, and then they'll know it that way. But if you take them out of Cumbria and put them in Wales, and they don't do it fair half as good, because they don't know the line, and they're not great navigators, to be fair. But you just need to go out and recognize. It's the only way you're going to get. If you think confident, Matt Reed even for me, and I go out a lot. But if I don't go out for a while, it's such a skill thing. You just need to keep. It's one of the skills that you need to keep up. You just really need to keep going and just. There's many times, even though I can be in places where I've been loads of times before, and I'll be another. And I have to stop and scratch my head and actually take a bit of time and work out. I am actually. Especially when you're on your own, you find you do a lot of questioning yourself, because you're on your own, there's no talk. You're on your own, so you really have no choice but to sort of follow your nose and think, right, I'm gonna
Now, we are going to have a bit of a Q&A in a moment, but I thought I'd get mine in. As you were talking about navigation, Barclay Marathon?
I'd love the idea of doing the Barclay Marathon. It wouldn't, let's be honest, but
I certainly wouldn't.
The Barclay Marathon is such a different beast to anything. It is its own, it's its own race itself. And having spoke to people who have done it, and I remember the people I've spoke to all said it would actually fire into their strengths, and it would be a good race. So I don't know if I can be bothered with
just explain for those who are not so familiar with the Barclay.
Barclay Marathon is in America. It's basically, it's around about April, March time. It's in the Tennessee, forestry. It's a big open park, and it's this mad bloke who decided to organise this race from a prison escape, where this bloke escaped from a prison, got lost for X amount of hours, and then he caught him. He devised this route running around the prison. It changes every year, and it's not like you just get grid references and all that. There's not. He has this really weird route card you have to follow, and you'll see you run over 3 spurs, and then you've got this little merry little way, and you have to decipher how he's, what he thinks is a merry little way. I don't know what a merry little way is, but he knows what it is. So so that's what makes it hard. So you really have to, and you can't go out and wreck the ground. So you are really turning up blind. And he reckons it's 20-mile routes. He takes all the watches off you and he hands you a cheap Casio watch. That's your own. So nobody knows exactly how far it is. He says it's 5 20-mile laps. Now, as a crow flies, then it could be 20-mile laps. But if you know anything about map reading and sort of running off route, just because it's 20 miles straight that way doesn't mean you're going to do that 20 miles. It might be a big valley and you might decide to run around it, or an obstacle or whatever else. So nobody actually knows how far the routes are. So it's not 20 mile routes.
Have you got your application?
No, because you can't just, that's the other thing. You have to sort of get an invite email. Then once you've got your invite, then you have to write an essay. There's sort of hoops you have to jump through. I love racing, but I'm a bit lazy. If it's a bit above and beyond, then I sort of lose interest. Though you actually do the race. I think the closest we have got a version close to it, which is Dead Sheep, which is every 2 years. Which is, if you want to test your navigation, then I would definitely recommend Dead Sheep race, as it is. For that, it is an absolute killer. You will. It is group referencing, so it's it is pre-tested. It's been a long time since I've run an Bavarian for 10Ks over no paths, and I've literally been running on a straight line trying to find out, get to a certain checkpoint.
And I think, Paul, even for somebody as experienced as you, every now and again there'll be a few mishaps, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's more than a few times.
I understand you had a bit of cramp on a recent.
Well, as I was chatting to you, every race I do, I learn something new. I've never not raced and not learned something new. It just doesn't happen. And what I learned this time is about cramp. I always thought cramp was through dehydration, lack of salt, and all the sort of usual stuff that we get told. What I've also found now is your body, you can also get cramp when you're running above your fitness ability. So basically, I'm running harder than I'm trying to run harder at a sustained pace for longer than my body's going to allow me to do. And one of the things it tells you that it's had enough is cramp. And at the same time, I took so many salt tablets, I actually started worrying that I was going to overdose on salt. Not knowing what the after, but I just didn't know. As I found out, it just makes you sick, so that's fine. But I took that many in the space of trying to get rid of this cramp, I just wouldn't go. So I just gave up in the end and just sat down and just let my legs dance around on the floor until it calmed down, and then moved on a bit further. And then lucky enough, the body calmed down and I could get into a sort of rhythm and maintain the pace without getting cramp. But and then afterwards, that's when I found out it's your body just rebelling basically. You're just running too hard. It's the difference that your brain telling you one thing and your body doing its own thing. And that, when you're doing long distance running, can happen quite a lot. And that's the hard bit. So that's the mental aspect of it, isn't it? Where you're trying to push and suffer.
Have you never found yourself waist deep in a bog?
Not racing. I have been in the military. I did it. I dropped into 10 bogs in the space of 5 miles carrying on the kit. So the lads were like you carrying your burden, the lads carrying heavier than that, automatically dropping into bogs, crawling through the bogs, taking the burden off, throwing it, climbing out, putting the stuff back on, running into the next bog.
I've got a bit of stick about my Bergen there today. It's not quite as organised as yours.
But my bog recognition has got a lot better. But there's always something somewhere, so it's easy done. But it's also part of the fun and part of what you do.
Brilliant.
Just accept.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now we do have a little gift because we know we really do appreciate you taking some time out tonight to talk to us, and we are going to have a little Q&A. Might be a good time to nip to the bar and get a drink if anybody wants a wet. Yeah, this is Rob kindly.
Awesome. Ain't no mountain high.
Yeah, I think it's quite a good.
Oh, cheers.
Thank you very much. So, has anybody got any questions for Paul? Don't be shy, please. Ursula.
You're obviously very disciplined, those things, but have you ever had moments where you just think, oh, can't be asked? And if so, how do you deal with it?
I don't think I've done a race yet where at some point I've gone, where I've not actually gone, yeah, I can actually call it a day now. And the main things that drives on is 9 times out of 10 when I have them, I'm in the middle of nowhere. And to get out of it means I have to either do another marathon to get away from it, or, you know, there's no rescue. That's the point with a lot of these races I do. There's no rescue anyway, other than self-help, so you might as well carry on. And I always find, once I've got to a checkpoint, and if I'm lucky, you've got a cup of tea, or, you know what I mean? It sounds stupid, doesn't it? But even I just sit down and have a cup of tea, and I just go, yeah, I'll go to the next one, see how that goes. And that's all I do. It's like everything you think about it. If you get the start line and go, right, I've got 280 miles to do. Your brain can't do that. You just can't. It's stupid. So all you do is you go, right, I've got to get to that checkpoint. Or get to the top of that hill. And then you know you get to the top of the hill, you go, I'm just going to run down it, and there's a checkpoint there. And that's, you know, it's making it manageable. Everything's about making things manageable, but it's a mental aspect. There's always going to be a point during a long race where you're going to go, yeah, I'm done now. But the point is, as long as you're moving in the right direction, whether you're walking, shuffling, running, it doesn't matter. You're still moving in the right direction. So that you should always take that as a positive. You know, even as I said, when I have aspirations and I feel I'm not learning as well as I want to, I never think, yeah, I'm just going to sit here, and I don't. I think, right, I'll just reevaluate and work out what I can achieve. And that's the thought process you try and work through. It's just what can I achieve? And it's always good to get something out of it. You know, it'd be horrible to finish a race and go, I didn't get anything out of that. Well, it'd be terrible, wouldn't it? But then what's the point? If you're going to finish a race, what's the point? You might as well not even start it. You know, so you should always look at, there's always, every race I do something, I learn something, but at the same time, even if I have a bad race, there's always positives. There's always something good about it. It might be very simple, it might be, I got my nutrition right there. Everything else went wrong, but I got that bit. Do you know what I mean? So there's always something that you can grasp as a good thing that'll then help you through to the next thing. Yeah.
Anybody else?
How do you think you're going to get on running in a pair?
I have, let me see, I have more DNFs as pair runnings than anything else. I've tried the on 6 times, which is obviously a part of the thing. I've never completed it once. The only person I've been successful running with, and we have split up during these races, is Lucy. And during these races that we've run, is that every race we've done, there's a point where I don't know, but we're finished and we're not together anymore. But by the end of the day, we are together and we're alright.
Do you work together?
No.
Like a video thing where you run them together? It's one of these things
Yeah, there's the old countertops, and you're not allowed to be more than 50 metres apart. So there is some that will set a distance that you should be together at all times. You're not tied to yourself, because at times one person will be navigating and acting as a carrot. And obviously, like everything, because you're with a pair, it's peaks and troughs, isn't it? But you could be running at your, fully bouncing around and happy as Larry, and your partner's in total clip and going, cursing you because you're running so well in front. But that's the point, you just absorb that and you just carry on. The only time I've ran with one bloke, the only bloke I've ran with where we didn't DNF because, one of the checkpoints, we took so long finding the checkpoints, and then we realised we'd get timed out. And that's why we DNF, but that's what we caught today. But the other ones have just been my mate moving that slow that no matter how much clothing I put on, I couldn't get warm. So my next stage would be mountain rescue. But that's, yeah, you just try and, if you know you're running with somebody slower, then you need to, and you need to adapt to whatever they're doing and try and, that's a hard bit, is being positive about it.
I know when you did the spine race, a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, you sort of inadvertently teamed up with Carol Morgan quite early on. How did that relationship sort of develop as the race went on? I don't mean personally, but how did the race strategy work for you?
Me and Carol have a very similar mindset, and you know, we talked when we wanted to talk, but there was lots of times of silence, right? But it was a comfortable silence. It wasn't strange, you know what I mean? And we were just quite happy, and you know, points where we needed to navigate, we stopped and go, yeah, but this, that, and the other, and you know, times when she felt I would just slow down a bit and she would just stay behind me, and then times when I was struggling, she would just, it just, I mean, because we had the same sort of mindset. I mean, running a similar sort of pace, it just worked, and it wasn't planned. We just fell into steps with each other, and it just worked really well. But you know, that was just that was very lucky, you know, on my part, and yeah, it was just very lucky how it worked out.
I think we have one from Tim and then Mark.
Yeah, Paul, you're obviously doing some really impressive stuff, but as time marches on, as it inevitably does, do you think you're getting a better racer? Is that because you're getting fitter, or you're just getting more experience and learning from every single race?
I'm definitely not. I would, like everything, we have like the same as peaks and troughs. You know, I've heard many of us have either been racing or running, and we lose our mojo, and we don't. You know, when we struggle to get out for even a 3-mile run around the houses, don't we? And I'm just the same as anybody else, and we've all gone through that. So I won't necessarily say I've lost, I'm not as fit. I've had moments where I've lost my mojo, so my training hasn't been consistent. But yeah, I definitely think I understand more about how my body works, so I know when I can push and I know when I need to take my foot off the pedal, and I don't. On the longer races, I definitely don't set up as fast as I used to. I've definitely learned to calm down and sort of work out, you know, where I need to go. You look at the map and you think, as long as I'm strong at this point. But the more important thing of all that is always run your own race. And a lot of people struggle with that. We might always say it, but you know, the red mist comes down and somebody overtakes you, you think you should normally be, and you'll end up chasing them. I'm very good at that. I never chase people. I always, my principle is they go past me now, and in my head I think, oh, there's another 50 miles to go. I might catch him up. Hopefully, if things go well, I'll catch him up in a bit. And that's how I always think. I just, other than the first couple of miles, I'm very set in my own plan and what I'm doing. And I think that's the important thing. You know, just set yourself a plan up and try and stick to it as best you can. You know, like everything, people always ask you, I mean, road running is probably the worst for that, isn't it? When people always go, oh, what time do you think you're going to do this in? They always ask you, always without fail. But the point is, you never actually know until you say go. You can have put all the training, you know, the best training, you think you've trained the best, you know, the best speed work and everything. Until you start running, you have no real idea how that race is going to unfold. You just don't. Because something stupid the night before, you could have had an argument with your girlfriend, or you know, you stubbed your toe and you've had a shower. It sounds like something simple, small like that could actually knock you the next day. So you actually never know how your race is going to go until they say go, and that's when you start going, right, what am I doing, how am I feeling, and that's when I personally start really thinking about the task at hand properly. Is when they say go. Up until then, I just follow along, try not to overthink things, and just know it's coming, but just not overthink it, and just keep myself on an even keel. That kind of thing, that's it.
Yeah, I know this may be nice already if I was in the kitchen cleaning all the pots after you lot. But do you have any aspirations left? Is there like one race or run that, I don't know if you can get into it, or you could get into it, but you'd love to do and love to complete?
I mean, there's always races. I mean, I'd love to do. I don't know why. There's that many races.
Oh, if I could do that, brilliant.
I don't think there's any race now that I just think, you know, that There's no massive race. There's races I'd love to do. But there's loads of them. Everything will that'd be really good. That'd be a good challenge. I'd love to have a go at the, I think, is it the 632 or the 6332, something in the Arctic, or even the Yukon, something, pulling a plug, the problem, what I've found through everything I've done is, and this is part of my psyche and not everybody else, I'm not very good when I do a race the second time. The main reason I think that is because when I race, as I said, my goal is always to finish. So when I do it might be a shorter race, but it might be more technical. So when I start, I don't actually know whether I'm going to finish that race. And that's what drives me, because that's the challenge, isn't it? I'm not result driven, though if you get a good result, that's great, isn't it? But it's not what drives me, it's the challenge of never done something before, and can I do that? I'd never done the Dragon's Back, I didn't know whether, though, on paper, you think, yeah, I could do that, but like I keep saying, until you cross the start line, you don't know. And, until you've got your foot on the course, you don't know how things are going to be. The PTL, I'm loving that. That's really sort of driving me, because I just don't know. I've never done anything in Europe, as in sort of race-wise. The way the race is organised, it's just not going over the big mountain trails. You've got your harnessed up, you're doing Via Ferrata. For those who don't know, it's you're climbing. You're actually doing proper climbing. You're on proper ridge lines. It's not marks, it's proper navigation. So it's a race of lots of unknowns. So that there really makes me, because I know it's going to be a challenge, so it really, really fires me up and it really gets me, So the sort of races like that, the Marathon des Sables, I'd love to do the Marathon des Sables. I don't pay £3 to do it, but I'd love to do it, and if the option to me, I can get you a place for that, I'd jump at the chance. But I actually think, on paper, looking at it, I don't think it's that much of a challenge. And that sounds horrible, and I'm not trying to build the race, but you look at it, it's 5 marathons and a double marathon. You look at what I'm getting at is, it's like it's perception, isn't it? This is where, a lot of people look at me strangely. So if you only run 10k races, and then you look at somebody who's doing a marathon, your perception of that person doing a marathon is massive, isn't it? Because you only run 10k races. But if somebody does a marathon, 10 marathons a year, what's a 10k race to him? It's nothing, is it? A marathon in the end is not that great. So you think if I've done 50-mile races, 1 month for 12 months, a marathon to me, as I laugh when people laugh at me, to say it's a speed session, which effectively is, in my mind, because it's perception, isn't it? It's how I perceive it. I'm not trying to belittle it, I'm not demeaning other people's challenges, because I totally get that. But it's all down to perception. And how I, on a personal level, how I see things. So, Marathon des Sables, although, it's in the desert, effectively, on paper, it's 5 marathons and a 50 mile. You break it down, and that's how you achieve your goal as well, by breaking things down into things like that, things that you can manage and achieve.
And it's not just the distance, is it? It's also the elements. What do you think are the hardest of the elements? Because you've got the heat, the snow, is it the rain, the wind?
I think those people. Heat is always a downside for me. If anything, I've struggled with that, and I've been very lucky. I was with the Commandos, so I did loads in Norway. I've been in the Antarctic in South Georgia, just 10 miles out. I've been in the jungle, which killed me. 98% humidity. I've been in the desert yet again. Heat kills me. But if you can climatise it, it's not as bad. But that's where the Marathon des Sables would hurt me to top. Because heat has never been my friend. It's always been a struggle. If anything's going to set me, makes me feel bad, it's knowing I'm going to run in the heat. If I know the weather's going to be horrendous, it actually makes me smile. So I think, it brings it down to my level. Crappier the weather, the happier I am. Because I feel I cope better in crap weather, so
You'll be loving this summer then, Paul.
Yeah, I'm actually it's the Spine. I was hunting for Spine because it was the hardest Spine race they ever had. I wanted the snow, I wanted that sort of hardship, and that's what I planned in my head, and I didn't get it, so that was a bit of a bind.
Have we got one last question? No? Oh, yeah, Sean?
Your longer races in this 65 state, you ever hallucinated? What's the last thing you
I have. I'm not. Through when the military we used to hallucinate. So you know, you expect to come in. And I've never really seen anything mad. The only time I can vividly remember hallucinating was on the Harbors 200 on the last night, and I was in the middle of nowhere. And I know it's in the middle of nowhere. And for some reason or other, I thought I could see like an illuminous sign and a bloke with a high-vis vest on. You know, like a workman. It was like 4 in the morning on this dirt track. I think, what's he digging in my head? Because I was obviously asleep. I'm thinking, who's digging up at 4 in the morning? I didn't think, you know, why is this workman in the middle of nowhere? I was saying, what's he digging up at 4 in the morning? And as it was just the way the light was shining off the bush. But in my head, you know, sort of 500 metres away, I had it as a bloke with a stop sign and a full sort of, but you know it's coming. It is, you know, sleep deprivation is just a weird thing. So hallucinating is something you just need to embrace a little bit because it's going to come out. I think a lot of it, with a lot of the wrong stuff, is embracing because it's going to happen. The pain, it's going to happen. Doesn't matter how many times you've raced or done whatever, you're going to hurt. So you know, you accept it. And the more you accept it, the easier it is to do, isn't it? You know, acceptance is everything, isn't it? Really?
I've got one question for you. Your kit check. Can you give us a kit check? Favourite shoes, what you wear, and
Scots. I love hot Scots. It depends what I'm doing. If it's short races and it's really muddy, then I love the new Innovates, but they're just very firm. The mud claws. But Scots, I find Scots is a good all-rounder. I find them really comfy. I like a bit of cushion. You know, I'm not very minimalistic. I know I can't do neutral, so I know 4-wheel drops about the best, you know, the least I can do. Otherwise, I'll have severe calf problems. Scott trainers I really like, but then again, I like the look of the newer sportive trainers. I've never had a chance to try them, but I've only heard good things about them, and they look the same sort of comfort and tread. Stuff-wise, I like the Ultimate Direction running vests, they're good. Waterproofs, that's always a very wide issue, isn't it? I've not yet found a thin waterproof jacket that does what it says in the tin. Never yet found one. The only jacket I found that works, it's the only jacket I've had. It's my go-to jacket in really shit weather, pardon my language, it's Paramo. It's the only one I've ever wore where I've took it off and I've been bone dry underneath it, without fail. The only problem with Paramo is it's very warm. So if, you know, like in this weather, if it's pouring down with rain and you're up high, you'll be fine. But if you're low level in rain, then you're probably not, you're going to be just perspiring underneath it anyway. But yeah, Gore-Tex, and I think I've got given a new jacket to try. I only went running up in the fells where I live, and I was only out for half an hour, and it was absolutely drenched through. You know, and this was supposed to be waterproof, and it just wasn't. And I've not yet found a jacket, thin jacket, that does what it says on the tin. I've always been drenched in it. But yeah, that's it. But somebody asked me about what drives. Sorry, just because they didn't want to ask the question, but they asked, how do you find to push yourself when you're struggling, when you're on your downs? And as I said before, I alluded to, it's about making it into acceptable goals. When you're feeling rough and you think you want to stop, just put it down to smaller limits where you think, right, well, I know I can get to there, and then you'll get to there, and then once you get there, so well, I've got there, I can get to there, and just making it so that way to drive yourself forward. Anything that makes you keep moving forward is a good thing. That's it.
Thank you, Paul.
That was a brilliant digestion. I hope you've all enjoyed it. We'll try and get Mo Farah for the next one, or Alistair Brownlee. I'm sure we'll find somebody, but I think it's been on that. You can put all of that brilliant advice into practice at the next Harrogate Road League. So only 10k. So, and once again, thank you very much to Anne and to Paul. Thank you.